He told Axios' Barak Ravid about his call with Benjamin Netanyahu when there was fire being exchanged again for the first time since March, since the ceasefire, between Israel and Iran yesterday. And Ravid says that Trump tells him, quote, "I said, Bibi, you better be careful or you will be on your own very soon." I'm just curious, Fareed, because obviously Trump has seen the precipitous and shocking and unprecedented drop in the approval rating of Israel in the United States, and certainly of the Prime Minister of Israel. So he knows that it's a political winner to take on Bibi, Prime Minister Netanyahu, right now. What's the reality of their relationship? Does that quote reflect it or not?
I don't think so. I think Trump was letting off steam. I think partly he reads the polls just like all of us. And he's frustrated because the war is not going the way either he or Prime Minister Netanyahu expected it to go. I mean, the real story there, or the way to read it is, Trump is furious that the war is going badly. It is not in any way fulfilling the political goals that he thought he was going to achieve. Bibi Netanyahu sold him a bill of goods that turned out to be phony. And so there is some frustration with Netanyahu, but I think it's mostly just frustration that they were going to remember. The whole idea was they were going to cause regime change in Iran. The people of Iran were going to have a chance to finally be rid of this 47-year dictatorship. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, in the months after June's attacks, they were like, Hamas has been destroyed, Hezbollah has been destroyed, the Iranians have been crippled, and yet look at the world we're in. The Iranians are in a pretty strong position in the Gulf. Hezbollah remains in Lebanon, and in fact, Bibi Netanyahu's war against it may have actually given it some support, and Hamas is still in Gaza.
And Iran, according to what we hear every once in a while from the Trump administration, their Navy's shutting things down, even though it's been at the bottom of the sea several times.
Right. I mean, the fundamental lesson here is there is only so much you can achieve with military power. If you look at the situation in Gaza, you have to have a political alternative, Palestinian leadership you are willing to trust, and give, and that is legitimate to the Palestinians. In Hezbollah, you have to work with the Lebanese government and find a way with the Shia community to find somebody to. And with Iran, you actually have to have a plan that involves Iranians on the ground who are willing to do something about their. Just bombing and hoping has turned out not to be a strategy. Yeah.
Bombing and hoping, and to summarize it so well. Thank you so much, Fareed.
Barak, I know you reported that the U.S. was nearly pulled back into a full-scale war by the fighting between Israel and Iran over the past few days. How close did that actually get?
I think it got pretty close because the Israelis on Monday were planning a massive strike on Iran, a wave of strikes that included more than 50 fighter jets that were supposed to fly to Iran and drop and launch airborne ballistic missiles towards many, many targets, including very sensitive ones that have to do with Iran's infrastructure. And I think that if that strike would have happened, there was the risk of escalating back into an all-out war was really great. And I think that was the point that President Trump basically shut it down by telling Netanyahu, that's it, you can't do that. And Netanyahu had to accept and told his generals that they have to abort mission. And one of the things President Trump told me yesterday that he told Netanyahu during their conversations over those dramatic 24 hours was that he needs to be careful because if he goes too far, he might find himself fighting Iran on his own.
We're negotiating now, and they want to make a very good deal. They're willing to give us everything. They're willing to give us no nuclear weapon. I think we are winning that battle, but you're really going to win it over the next 2 weeks when we declare total. It'll be a total victory.
If that sounds familiar, it's because it's not the first time the president has made promises about how quickly he expects to see significant progress in this war.
I think with 2 or 3 weeks.
3 weeks. If it is
we'll leave. Right from the beginning, we projected 4 to 5 weeks.
I'm talking about days?
I think so. Okay. We're going to hit them extremely hard over the next 2 to 3 weeks.
This comes as the president had not one, but two phone calls in a matter of a couple of hours with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Sources say that before that second call, Israel was actually preparing for a significant attack on Tehran, but the intervention by the president appeared to have worked. As Prime Minister Netanyahu later announced afterward, Israel has halted its attacks on Iran for now. Joining me now is the Israeli ambassador to the United States, Michael Leiter. And Ambassador, it's great to have you here. Why, in your view, was the president successful in getting the prime minister to call off these strikes?
Well, that's an assumption. First of all, it's very good to be with you, Caitlin. We hit Iran back very hard. Iran fired ballistic missiles into our country. No self-respecting country in the world would allow a malign country to fire ballistic missiles into its territory. They did. They could have killed hundreds. They could have caused mayhem and destruction. And it's very clear that we're going to respond. We did respond. We hit them back hard, and we'll do so again if they choose to fire ballistic missiles into our country.
Well, obviously, as you heard the prime minister, I mean, he did say earlier that that Israel is stopping its attacks on Iran for now, but said he reserved the right to restart them. You heard the president say there he expects that they'll declare total victory in 2 weeks. Does Israel believe the United States and Iran are 2 weeks away from ending this war?
Well, we certainly hope so. The important thing is that the war ends in such a way where Iran can no longer threaten the region and threaten the world. This is a malevolent government that's been in power for 47 years and has destabilized the region and has caused mayhem upon all the countries in the area. If we can end this war where Iran no longer has a nuclear weapons program, no longer has a ballistic missile program that can hold the world hostage, and no longer supports its proxies like Hamas and Hezbollah, and if that can be achieved through negotiation and a deal, then the war will be won, whether it's in 2 weeks or 2 hours. But we're hoping that that's the outcome. No longer to have this malevolent government coming out of Tehran, these madmen of Tehran who shoot ballistic missiles into their neighbors. This has to stop.
Well, I mean, in terms of what a deal is going to look like, the president told the Financial Times that Netanyahu won't have any choice but to accept any deal that he strikes with Iran. He says, quote, "I call the shots, he doesn't." Is the president right?
Well, obviously the president of the United States calls the shots. But there's a wonderful relationship between the president and the prime minister that goes back some 40 years. I'm privy to those conversations that the prime minister has with the president, and they are cordial and they're friendly. And look, we entered this war against Iran together, and I think we're going to end it together on the same page. We have pretty much aligned interests, and here and there are some differences of opinion that need to be ironed out, and they're done so in a very respectful and friendly way. We were hit with ballistic missiles. We had to respond. The president understood that, and the prime minister understood that the president has a much broader agenda in the context of his negotiations, and we don't want to get in the way of that. So both needs of both countries were tended to by a discussion between the two leaders, and I think that's the best way that a relationship and that a sense of camaraderie and leadership can be worked out.
I mean, the quotes coming out of those phone calls don't always seem very friendly, as you put it.
Well, Caitlin, drama sells. I understand that, particularly in the media. But, they have had hundreds of hours of conversations over the past year and a half. And, to cherry pick one expression, and after all, Caitlin, lovers do have spats, so they could have a little bit of a testy exchange, but that doesn't mean that the level of friendship, and look at the level of collaboration between our two countries. There's no other country in the world that flew shoulder to shoulder and wing to wing with the United States of America, but Israel. We've never asked for your boots on the ground. We fight our wars. And when the United States said, we need your help in fighting Iran, we were there. We didn't close our airspace to you like France or Spain. On the contrary, your planes are parked in Ben Gurion Airport right now. So yeah. We are a very close ally. We're a junior ally, but we're a model ally.
I understand that you're a diplomat, but I mean, it's not just one or two quotes. I mean, the president himself told Barak Ravid that he warned Netanyahu, quote, "You better be careful or you'll be on your own very soon if you don't follow the orders and halt the strikes," is what he was referencing to. Obviously, they reported earlier that he asked him what the F he was doing last week, saying that everyone hates you, everyone hates Israel because of this. I mean, are you saying that the president didn't say those things to the prime minister?
I wouldn't get too carried away with reports of one journalist or another who may have a particular agenda. The fact of the matter is, again, they've met 7 times in Washington, once in Jerusalem. They speak every other day, sometimes twice a day, and you don't have reports like that every day. So if there's a particular conversation that catches the attention of a particular reporter with an agenda, so be it. I wouldn't get carried away by it.
Barak Ravid's an excellent reporter, as you know. Ambassador, thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Caitlin. Good evening.